Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Opinion Machine, the show where we talk about all things gaming. My name is Killjoy, and today we're going to be talking about my two favourite games of 2022. Now, a lot of stuff came out in 2022, but honestly, there's only two games that I really played of that year that really stuck with me and stood by me, and no spoilers to what they are, because they're probably the two games I covered with decent videos on this channel. One is Kirby and the Forgotten Land, and the other is Xenoblade Chronicles 3. So, these two games are probably my favourite games of the years. I think they should have been more talked about in some aspects, but let's start with Kirby. This to me came out, was it March? I think it came out in. This is one of the best games to come out this entire. Look how adorable he is. How can you not like this dude? This was Kirby's jump to 3D, and as a huge fan of platformers myself, I wasn't to start with. I was like, oh, looks cool. I've always liked Kirby, but Forgotten Land made me love Kirby. This was the sort of Kirby's version of Super Mario 3D World. It was like a 3D game. You kind of got your sandbox levels. They weren't open world, they were just sandbox. You go in the level, you can walk around, you can do your thing, and you get to the end of the level, and everything you want from a Kirby game. It wasn't particularly difficult, but there was challenge there if you wanted it. You had all the different items that you could upgrade. So you have like the sword, you get different levels of the sword, and the fire hat, and the gun, the spike. They all had really fun uses. The level design was incredible, really fantastic soundtrack, and I stand by. I actually genuinely believe this to be the best game to come out in 2022. Honestly, I think a lot of people, understandably so, really liked Elden Ring and stuff like that. But I think this game was just incredible. And I say that as somebody who, like I said, loves platformers. Elden Ring and the From Software games are very, 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 very good games. They are not for me. I have no interest in playing many of them. And I played a bit of Dark Souls this year, but they are for a particular type of audience. And I know a lot of people sit there and say, Elden Ring groundbreaking and all that. But for me personally, like Kirby's Kirby, I didn't think this game was going to make me feel the way that I feel about this game. Like, it has the combat is way better than you'd expect. Like I said, just everything about this game, about Kirby and the Forgotten Land, is just incredible. For a game where this is Kirby's first proper 3D outing, I don't think we're celebrating that enough to just how good this game is. And the other games like God of War that came out this year, and things like Stray and all these other games that are massively talked about. Even at the Game Awards, I feel like Kirby was shafted. This should have been in the Game of the Year discussion, but there you go. It is just a pleasure to play. Like, it's just enjoyable to play. It's fun, it's enjoyable. It's not necessarily the most difficult thing, but there is a difficulty curve there. There's post-game. There's, like I said, incredible music. There's so much stuff about this game that just feels so good. One tiny criticism is that, enemies far away in the distance, they do run at very low frame rates. But overall, the game, it feels very good to play. Full of really fun ideas. Some people say the game's a bit too short. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think the game is a nice length, but I think the post-game stuff is kind of fun as well. I just have nothing. I don't really have any bad thing to say about it. All I'm going to say is that this to me is the best game that came out in 2022, and I disregard everyone else's opinion because, quite frankly, I think that this is just so good. And I don't mind being hugely biased because I love platformers, and I haven't played a platformer this good since Odyssey, and that says a lot. And obviously the other game that I really very much enjoyed was Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Fantastic box art, by the way, on this game. This game is just a fantastic game for finishing up the first three in this series. Obviously, I'm not including Xenoblade Chronicles X. I'm just doing the numbered games. And this one, you don't need to have played the first two, but it does enhance the experience. This is one of the best stories I've seen in a long time in an RPG, where it is dark. It starts off dark. It's pretty messed up, but the thing about Xenoblade Chronicles 3 that I like, it has probably the best open world I've played in a game for a while. I always challenge myself. I was always trying to get to places I shouldn't have been. I'm like 20, 30 levels under. It's got good difficulty. It's a easier RPG to get into than the second one. Mechanics are really, really cool. You have the whole leveling up thing they took from the second one, so you don't have to level up in combat. You get bonus XP that you can then choose to use and help level yourself up, which is really cool. You've got tons of classes. Every character can be a different class. Honestly, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is just an incredible game. The story is top tier. Say what you will about the English voice acting, I love it. I personally love the voice acting in these games. I would say that this game is probably my second favourite. I think the original is my favourite, then this, and then 2. And if you didn't like the anime sort of side of things of 2, you'll much prefer this. This is a much more serious game. The characters, I mean, Lanz, who's the big hard nut in this game, is probably my favourite character. The meathead, my favourite. But they all have their standout moments. And probably some of the best side quests I've ever played. There's an incredible side quest in this game where you have to help out a colony. I won't spoil, but you have to help out a colony with farming essentially, and you have to figure out like how they're going to do it. What's the best way to do it? You know, and it just goes deep. And quite frankly, like in terms of RPGs, like I'm not a big RPG guy. You know, I've never played a Final Fantasy, but the Xenoblade series, I took a risk on it with Definitive Edition. Absolutely loved it. Had to play the second one. Had to play this one, and quite frankly, this game didn't disappoint. I really love it. I would say the soundtrack is a lot more muted than the first 2 games, but that's just a choice. It's still a good soundtrack. There are some good tunes in there, especially like the battle music specifically. But the world is sprawling. The world is nice. There's so much going on in these games, and the stuff that you get near the end of it as well, where you get like the follow-up to just like what happened to the other worlds, why are there people from both the first and second game is incredible. And yeah, both these games, both Kirby and Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I'm just blown away this year by these 2 games. Now, like I said, I did play other games, but these were the only ones that left an impact on me. There was a lot of stuff that came out that I was interested in playing. Crisis Core recently came out. Haven't got around to playing that. Probably the first Final Fantasy game I would have liked to have played. Unfortunately, I had a disappointment this year being Mario Strikers. Otherwise, I'd be talking about that right now and be like, this is amazing. And Advance Wars obviously didn't come out because that would have definitely been my game of the year. But instead, I was lucky enough to play Kirby and Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and those 2 games alone salvaged this year for me. There was a lot of good games that came out, but they're solid. But there wasn't a lot of games that came out this year that I definitely think were, or at least the ones that I played, that I think were like god tier. I did also play Triangle Strategy, but not as much of a fan of that. You know, there was Live Alive that came out. There's probably stuff on PC that I didn't play. And there were a ton of things that came out, first party and indie. But for me personally, I have finished 2022 with 2 games that are basically my favorite. Like Kirby's probably my favorite game, but basically equal is Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And yeah, nothing else came out this year that was remotely close to being on the same level of what these games made me feel. Very different. Kirby made me have that enjoyment of why I love platform games and how I wish more platform games felt to play. You know, just really solid controls, really good soundtrack, fun levels, great boss fights, a ton of extra content. Love it. And Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is a really good refined RPG with a fantastic battle system, big sprawling areas, tons to explore, amazing character development, amazing written characters, fantastic final battle. Neither of these games are perfect, right? They don't need to be perfect. They're both 10 out of 10s, probably for me. I don't really score games, but that's what they would be. But they're not perfect, But for me personally, they are the games that stole 2022 for me, and I had a blast playing them, and they left me feeling like I wanted more. I was satisfied with those experiences. So I hope that, whether it be Elden Ring, Sonic Frontiers, God of War Ragnarok, Kirby, Stray, I'm trying to think what else came out this year, Live Alive, no matter what your game of the year is, I hope there was something that came out this year for you, for everyone, that played it. Toon Spice Wars was a game I played, first ever early access game, but it's not finished. But But yeah, I hope there was a game out there for you, for whoever you are, and that you had a brilliant 2022 for gaming. I am excited for next year. Obviously, Tears of the Kingdom being a big one for me. Hopefully, some other big stuff. But there's still games this year that I haven't got around to playing, so we'll get around to it. But yep, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, my top games of 2022. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you like the video, hit like. If you want to see more content like this, then hit subscribe. Links for Facebook and Twitter will be down below in the description as always. And until next video, I will see you then.